If we want to understand the Zhuwei star better, we can do so by observing how an emperor behaves. A good emperor is magnanimous, benevolent, and leads with elegance and confidence, whilst a bad emperor will be merciless, leads with brutality, and may even lead a degrading life. A common trait that is often present in emperors is that they carry emotions of extreme proportions. Imagine that an emperor is capable of showering someone with all the imperial gifts and favor, while at the same time capable of executing someone at will. Thus, we can see that an emperor or a people with the emperor stars in their charts may also carry emotions of extreme proportions. People with the Zhui or emperor star in their Ming Gong or Star Palace loves praises and demand loyalty. They can be considered easily and easily influenced by people surrounding them. They have a tender ego and would often not disclose their true feelings. Zhui is a dominant star, but it possesses little of its own character. It is heavily influenced by other stars within the birth chart. The location of the Zhuwei is key to identifying one of the dominant areas of the subject's life. For example, if someone has the Zhuwei star within the Guanglu Gong or the Korea Palace, the person will usually be very concerned with his work. He will see his work as one of the most important areas of his life, and usually they will also be well known for their good performance at work. People with Ziwei in the Bingong or the South Palace tends to have the following set of qualities. Firstly, people with the Ziwei star in the Bingong or the South Palace will have natural leadership capabilities. How they use their leadership and what kind of leaders they make will largely depend on how the Ziwei star is affected by the other stars within the birth chart. Secondly, normally the dominant person in the family, he is usually the most accomplished within the family, being the richest or being the most successful. They usually have big ambitions and strives on challenges. Following, they are also capable, reliable, and competent, especially in what they like to do. Next, they also tend to have a big ego and often be very or have very high self-esteem. In other words, and they also like to lead a solitary life, like a monk or a priest. And this is especially true when the location of Ziwei resides in the Mao or the You Palace. Like all rulers, its effectiveness depends on the characters and personalities of other stars in his vicinity. He's very much dependent on the arrangements of the other stars in the same or related courts. This is the same as in emperor. They depend on their subordinates to carry out their tasks for them. For example, with Zhuofu and Youbi, Ziwei will be powerful and effective, and often successful in his life because of the support that he received. Without them, he will have to do without much support and be in isolation. With Lu Chun, he can get very successful and prosperous. Wealth of Tianfu has a significant effect on Ziwei. Related to Tianfu, Ziwei has the capacity to create wealth. At Wu court, he is loved by people, especially those of the opposite sex. At Mao or You court, he might be a hopeless romantic or an isolated leader, or be like a monk or a priest. With inauspicious stars like Qingyang and Toro, he tends to be unreasonable and unfair. In Zi and Wu courts, with good transformations, his success will be long-lasting and outstanding. In Chou and Wei courts, he tends to be disloyal and flirtatious. In Ren and Shen courts, he can be rich if Tianfu is wealthy. Otherwise, his power-hungry character will be reckless and brittle. In Zi and Hai courts, he will have natural leadership qualities, but has a strong ego and craves power. Whether he uses power in a good or bad way depends on the influence of the other stars found in the birth chart. In Chen and Xu courts, with good stars and influence, this can be a chart of a high-ranking politician or business person. Otherwise, it influences the persons to be aggressive due to the frustrations and power hunger that he has.